Is AI ruining music? Or are we doing that to ourselves? Or have we already done it? Let's talk about it. Back in 2016, I went to Chicago to pitch to a label a record that I had made. And on one of my days off, I went with a friend of mine to the Art Institute of Chicago Museum. And for context, it's one of those things, I've never been a huge visual arts person. I've always been more centered around music. I've always appreciated the visual arts. It's just not my forte, that kind of thing. But I go around and I'm walking around this exhibit and they had all these Van Gogh paintings. And a lot of people talk about Van Gogh in Starry Night, and it's really interesting because they talk about the texture and the brushstrokes. And it's true. It's so true, it's crazy. But you can read the words in an art history textbook all day about the texture and the brushstrokes. But when you see it in person, it is crazy to see. It is there are gobs of paint that are lifted up off of the canvas. There is a texture to it, right? And one of the pieces that stood out to me the most was one of his self-portraits. And he's done over 30 self-portraits. But in this self-portrait that I saw, it was, again, I saw the texture of those brush strokes. And it's as if he was giving us a little window into his perspective of the world. And his madness that was slowly creeping in, you could kind of see it in every single brushstroke. We knew exactly how he felt about himself. And isn't that what good art does? It tells you a story. It gives you a new perspective that you may not have known existed in this world that you and I both occupy. It's like it forces you to connect with the humanity of somebody else. And I think that's such a beautiful and powerful thing about art. So allow me to introduce you to one of my personal favorite bands over the past 15 years. This is a band called Hop Along, based out of the Philadelphia area, fronted by Frances Quinlan, who is one of my all-time favorite vocalists. And you'll see why in just a second. So I actually have a session pulled up. This is Hop Along, recorded by Weathervane. If you haven't checked them out, definitely worth checking out for sure. But I've got the multi-tracks here, so let's go ahead and solo out the vocals so we can listen to that without all the other instrumentations. Let's listen to just her vocal.
Where he'll tell you, honey, you know I had to shoot that dog you love so much, you know I had to do it.
All right, and then one more time, let's listen to that same exact vocal phrase, but this time I'm gonna pull up a vocal tuner. We're not going for T-Pain effects. I'm not gonna do full melodyne or anything like that. Just kind of a gentle shove into the tuning here.
Where he'll tell you, honey, you know I had to shoot that dog you love so much, you know I had to do it.
All right, now let's bypass it.
Honey, you know I had to shoot that dog you love so much, you know I had to do it.
All right, last time, let's hear it with the tuner.
Honey, you know I had to shoot that dog you love so much, you know I had to do it.
And without.
Oh, yeah, I know you had to shoot that dog I love so much, you know you had to do it.
You know, there's this thing that always happens with creative professions, especially those that are on the production side of a lot of creative professions, where we want to use the tools of the trade to create professional looking or sounding creative projects. I mean, there's a reason why I use the camera that I do and that I've got the microphone boomed above me here. Of course, but I always have to remind myself that sometimes the greatest art is actually made and produced by the amateurs. And I think it's a beautiful thing, too, because the word amateur actually comes from the French word amateur, meaning the one who loves. Like, let that sink in a little bit, because we live in this world of professionals. There's no shortage of people who do things for the money. But we do have a drastic shortage of people that do things just simply for the love of doing them. And now, how I think this pertains to AI, because that's what we're talking about here, is that, like, people will first blame the tools. That's always the first thing that happens. Like, there's this great Rick Beato video, and he's time aligning John Bonham's drums from Fool in the Rain, and it's like this like little halftime shuffle kind of thing, and he snaps it to the Pro Tools grid, and then he quantizes it. If you don't know what quantize means, it just means that every single hit is lined up perfectly on the grid.
Once you've quantized the drum part, it's a drum machine. It's just like Superior Drums.
And so it takes some of the human swing and feel out of that performance, and you kind of feel like you're listening to a drum machine. It's really interesting. Or one of my mutuals on TikTok, he actually took a Frank Sinatra tune and he tuned it.
The final curtain.
And it just felt like blasphemy, because Sinatra does this really cool thing where he kind of like swings up into the note, you know, and that was just gone. It just didn't exist. It was just, oh, here he is, and he's perfectly on pitch. And everything just felt wrong, you know? And ultimately, that's the thing. These are tools. They can be useful, but there is also not going to be a shortage of people that will use those tools as a shortcut to the outcome that they want. And there's two sides to this, too, because yes, like vocal tuning and quantizing and sample packs and drum breaks and, you know, amp sims and stuff like that, like all of those things exist, and they are easier to get the outcome that you're looking for. However, every time that you do that, it will tend to lack some of that human signature that comes through on a recording sometimes. Like another one of my mutuals on TikTok, Greg from Peacedale Records, he actually recently said that he would rather hear your out-of-phase drum overheads than another f***ing Steven Slate sample pack.
Home recording sounds like now. It sounds really good and really generic. Because the same thing I've said a million times is everybody's using fucking neural DSP and samplers like Steven Slate.
I tend to agree with that take. But I also understand the other side of that coin, because it is really expensive and time consuming to get a live drummer that's been playing for a while, that knows your song, that can perform it well, and for you to throw up a bunch of microphones in a space that's suitable for it. And there's so much more that goes into it. I know. And so the more people that use the sample packs and the amp sims and things like that, the more people get a chance to just make more music, right? But I think that we're starting to see the snap back in the other direction. And this is, I mean, just a little bit of wild speculation, but we're here, so we might as well. I think that that is only going to be pushed further by AI. The more we hear big, huge, perfect music that's created by people prompting, the more I think that we, as humans, the people that enjoy good art, are going to seek out those imperfections, the gobs of paint in the canvas. Listen, I hope that AI is just a tool that we can find a lot of use of in the future, that doesn't end up, you know, taking over the entire world and ending up in like a Terminator 2 situation. Here's hoping. Listen, if you got something out of this video, please consider subscribing. This channel is still somewhat of a newer channel, and every last one of you that subscribes helps me out exponentially. All the buttons that are down below here, please press all of them. Start a discussion in the comments. Let me know how you feel about everything, and I'll see you guys in the next one.